Hi Leo, thanks for joining in. This is going to be a reading from May 2019. For Sun, Moon and Ascendant Leo signs. But please know that you can watch this at any time and you will find relevant messages here. If you resonate, take what you need, leave the rest behind, but you can always give this, of course. So, we're going to take a look at the general energies at play for you during this time with the general reading first, and then we're going to take the Voyager Deck and do a higher octave spread in the second part of the reading. So tune in with me while I shuffle, check in with your higher self and your guides, ask them to tune in with me so that we can make a feedback loop to get relevant messages that are especially tailored for you. Very interesting cards here for you, Leo. There's two twos in your reading, as well as the High Priestess, which is also number 2, and you have the Judgment card as well, which is number 20, so there's like 4 twos in your reading. My first impression when the cards were going down was that this is most likely a relationship reading for a lot of you. If not about, if it's not about a committed partnership or a marriage or some kind of dedicated one-on-one relationship, this could be about a business partnership potentially. The overall feeling here is that there may be some, it seems like you may not be seeing eye to eye at this time with the person that you are mostly interacting with at that level of intimacy, whether it's in your romantic committed relationship or if it's in some kind of other partnership. It looks like there is some tension at the moment, and there may be some, I'm hearing grievances. There may be some disagreements that need to be worked out at this time, but seeing that the 4 of Wands is a card at the crowning position of the reading, in the upright position, it would lead me to believe that this is not necessarily a time where there's a dissolving energy. It feels like there may be some tension, there may be some grievances, there may be some issues that need to be worked out, but I feel that there is the potential for that to happen, and that there is like willingness and opportunity here, I feel, for the parties who are involved to actually contribute their energy in a way that enables there to be a resolution. In the position of you have the High Priestess and the Empress together in your reading. Really beautiful, really potent energy. I've never seen this before in a reading. Very strong. I love these 2 archetypes from the Major Arcana. Both very, obviously, divine, feminine quality kind of archetypes. The High Priestess is a little bit more, I would say, cold and maybe shrouded in her knowing. She kind of represents the hidden knowing, the hidden understanding, or the secret knowledge. Whereas the Empress is a little bit more, I'm hearing, fertile. She's representative a bit more of like the earthly presence of feminine qualities, of fertility, of abundance, of health and wealth. Whereas the High Priestess is representing a little bit more of like the information and the knowledge that may be hidden in the shadow or in the occult spaces. But both are very powerful feminine energies, like representative of the divine feminine, different aspects of the divine feminine. And being that these cards are in the position of you at this time, as an extension of the heart of the reading, you have the star here as well. Super interesting cards and very, very potent, very powerful energy. I would say that I'm hearing facilitator. Definitely that the star is representative of a kind of facilitation kind of an energy. And given that we kind of can see here that there is some need for, like, you know, grievances came out earlier in the reading, that there is some need for people to be heard, and there's a need for facilitation here. And it could be that, and of course in these readings in all ways you can switch the positions or switch the placements of the characters in the reading, but it's really important that you always be honest and never victimize yourself or never shy away from responsibility that's yours to take, right? So what I'm seeing here is that either you or the other person is interfering with that facilitation. And you may be out of pride or out of, regret. You may be unwilling to face the fact that you are actually potentially the issue in this situation, you or the other party involved, either way. But there's something here about one or both people may have had their pride hurt. And because of that, if there isn't that willingness for someone to be the first to say, like, or the first person to express some humility, it's going to make it hard for the energy to move here. That's what I feel. So in this situation, if you feel like you're the person who can see the situation from a higher perspective and bring a more mature and evolved and compassionate and loving energy to the situation that you're in, you will find that you'll be able to facilitate a shift in the energy, one away from tension and strife, and one that moves much more gracefully towards a resolution and a highest possible outcome for everyone involved. If you are willing to take that stance of being the first person to eat crow and be humble and be able to come forward and like break the tension by coming with a kind of genuine compassion and a willingness to communicate from a place of accepting and acknowledging that you may not have had all the information, or that you may have acted brashly, or you may have spoke out of turn. Whatever the issue is here, you have the potential here to kind of be the victor or be the hero of the situation, but from a place of humility. If you're willing to come forward and help to facilitate a breakthrough by just communicating in a specific way, using a specific tone, using specific words that will allow for the other person to kind of back down a little bit. Because I do feel there's a little energy of hurt pride and tension and a little bit of arrogance. Again, it could be on either side of the fence in this situation here. So you have the potential here to be the bigger person and take the higher ground and enable a facilitation or a shift in the energy of this situation, which is one that has a little bit of tension and discomfort in it, in order to create a new fresh beginning where there is the possibility for an extension of a beneficial situation for more people than just yourself. Okay, that was a little quick overview download for the beginning. I'm going to go in a little bit more and look at each card, each quadrant, and see if there's any more messages there that need to be passed on for you. So I feel like I covered the High Priestess and the Empress. I feel like at this time you have the potential to really rise up into a higher vibration of your own energy and overcome pride and hurt and overcome, even if there is energy of, victim mentality here. I don't feel that that's genuinely there for many people, but that could be an element at play here. Is like you have the potential to step into a really empowered space by enabling the facilitation of some energy moving here in a way that, like, if you wanted to be really fixed and stubborn, and if you wanted to be really like petty even and childish, things can stay the way they are, but there is not gonna be like a genuine movement of energy that helps facilitate a kind of healing that's much needed in this environment, in what I'm seeing in these cards. There needs to be healing here. There needs to be a type of greater understanding and reconciliation of, energies that have been maybe a little bit, I'm hearing contrived. Maybe there has been some loss and some disappointment emotionally in a situation, probably on both sides of the fence. And this energy of the Queen of Wands, again, I feel is like the potential for you to really stand up, rise up in a situation and bring a really compassionate, never mind what your gender is. What I'm just seeing here is like this possibility for you to really bring forth some very empowered divine feminine qualities of compassion, of healing, of grace, of love, of wisdom, into a space where it's well needed, and in doing so be able to help create a breakthrough in a situation which feels a little bit stuck and potentially not necessarily stagnant, not yet, but if this goes on for too long there will be a stagnancy. But there is some energy here that is like, there needs to be a diffusion of some tension and some fixedness. There's a fixed energy, a stubborn energy here that really could use a little bit of movement, and it's going to require, as I said, that you taking the higher road, rising up in compassion and love and wisdom to bring an eye of understanding and knowing to a situation, above and beyond who's right and who's wrong, and just help energy movement by facilitating through very delicate and deliberate choice of tone and words in a communication here. Now, Page of Swords in reverse with the Ace of Pentacles is in the position of the hopes and fears. So this is telling me that you or the other person may be afraid to say something because you may say something that you might regret, vice versa. But as I said here, like there is a big potential here for a big shift to happen if you bring that energy of like higher knowing, of very like a type of maturity with your style of communication, and overcome the sort of knee-jerk reaction to want to lash out or express your anger in a very untempered way. There is the potential here for a big breakthrough and the ability to move into a new, there's a portal here, like a potential for a new beginning in a physical way with someone or with some people, if, as I said, you can bring that higher perspective to the situation and not just knee-jerk react in the way that you might always do. And then finally the Judgment card with the Knight of Cups. Again, I feel that both of these are in reverse, as is the Two of Swords. I feel that there is again here like that reminder here that if you bring the right energy to a situation, there can be a refresh, there can be a reconciliation or a resolution to a situation if you come with a loving, compassionate and kind energy. But if you stay in a fixed state, if you stay in a space of it's not me, it's them, or if you stay in a space of they need to be the one to make the first move, or any of those kinds of energies, which could be totally valid in many circumstances and potentially this one as well. But if you can, as I said, bring the energy of a higher perspective, of a more wise, loving and compassionate space to a situation, then you actually have a chance to make a big breakthrough. And if you don't, I feel that there's this potential here for a stalemate with these three cards. So if you don't care, you know, if you don't care about this person or this situation, and you're fine with letting it go and letting it like transform into a different frequency, one which may not involve you, then that's a choice here, that's an option here. But if you want to see a solution happen, if you want to see a potential for healing and growth in this situation, if you want to see your own, even if it's not about the other person, but even if this situation is simply a reflection on your own, you know, the space that you're holding at the moment, or how far you've come along in your journey of being like, of healing and growing and, you know, evolving in your own way, however that means to you, this is a chance for you to really see what you're made of at the moment, or how far you've come. If you can bring this energy, as I said, of like a higher mind, of a greater love and compassion to a situation, you can just measure for your own self if you need that, to see how far you've come along in your way, and potentially make a big breakthrough and enable you and another person to really overcome any transgressions, to resolve and to heal, you know, experiences of loss and disappointment from the past, and move forward into the potential of a greater space of being able to expand upon, and even in ways kind of meet each other on a level that you may not have done so in the past, or may have only had small glimpses of. But I see the potential here for real healing, and the chance to really measure how far you've come along in your way by actually choosing the higher road in this situation. Whether or not it turns out the way you want or the way you hope, it's more about just like the energy of presence that you bring, and willingness to actually have like uncomfortable or difficult conversations, and do it from a place of neutrality, of calmness, of quietness, of you know, genuinely intending for the chance for everyone to be heard, and to genuinely listen to another person and what they have to say, and quietly integrate that information and take a moment of like real gentle pause before you take a chance to make your response to that, and potentially blow up in anger, but actually just like quietly sit and listen and feel what you received, and take time to really carefully formulate what it is that you want to respond back with, and just see where things are at. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Hermit reverse and the Death card, Two of Wands reversed, and the Four of Cups reversed. So now we've got 1, 2, 3 of the twos, as well as the High Priestess, which is also a 2. So there's definitely this energy throughout the reading of this like one-on-one feeling of like polarities and polarization, and given that there's these 2 of them are in reverse, it does feel like there is like kind of a polarity, a dynamic of polarity, where there's like 2 individuals maybe facing off. So Hermit in reverse with Death in reverse. What do I say here? I'm hearing selfish. This could be part of what the lesson here is for you. Is like to identify and see maybe where you have been selfish, and address perhaps what parts of that are healthy and can be kept, and what parts of those are unhealthy and detrimental to not just your relationship with yourself, but your relationship with other people, and in which case needs to potentially be transmuted or let go of or dissolved. Two of Wands with the Four of Cups in reverse. I feel that for some of you, there is that energy, and I spoke on it a little bit earlier, where I felt like for some of you, you may be in this position right now and not necessarily feel like you want to take the higher road, and for you, you may not, like, you may be looking at your situation and saying like, I could walk away from this and that's okay with me if I don't ever see this person again, and that's fine too. I don't have any preference myself. I don't know anything about you or your situation. I'm just reading the cards. But what that says to me here is that if it is something that you don't care to pursue now, that's totally fine. But you may find that you will come up on similar circumstances down the line, and at which time you might be a little bit more willing and able and ready to, push through your growth edge and pursue a little bit of a higher path in the situation in order to just take it up a notch for your own personal growth. Okay, I feel like that's it for the general reading. Leo, let me just check over here and see if there's nothing I've missed. Okay. I'm going to take the Voyager Deck here and shuffle again to give you higher octave reading. Higher octave reading is designed to give a little more insight into what's happening on a karmic and spiritual level. Hopefully help provide insight as to what it is we're dealing with and why, and potentially give us a little bit more guidance as to how to deal with the energies that we're faced with, get the most out of the situation that we're in. So again, while I'm shuffling, please send your energy over into the deck so that I can get really clear messages for you. Woman of Cups reversed, crossed by the Priestess. So now you have the Priestess again. Ace of Wands, Two of Cups. So already there's quite a few repeating cards. Time Space, which is Judgment. Again, you had it here in this position of the outcome. Now it's in the position of the past in this reading. Sage of Cups reversed. Six of Crystals. Six of Wands reversed. Two of Crystals. Again, another 2. 10 of Crystals reversed. Strength. Hermit reversed again. The Hanged Man reversed, and Moon reversed. It's quite a few. There's 6 major arcana cards in this reading, Leo. So I would say this is quite a significant situation for you, and potentially this month is a very significant month for you, one that will maybe have long-reaching effects for you. I'm hearing 6 months. So I feel like maybe the decisions that you take now, or the situation that you're in now, and the way you handle it could have an impact for the next months to come. Now, what I feel here is that, like in this reading, even though there's a lot of repeating cards from the first spread in this spread as well, it feels a little bit different here. And what I'm sensing from this reading is that, like, your higher self and your guides really want to make this impression upon you that what you have in front of you is actually a very big opportunity. And if you take this route here of like letting things go and letting it pass by and being okay with like kind of never being with that person or seeing that person again or whatever, it says here that that could be a loss that you might not realize is as big as it is. I don't mean to sound dramatic when I say that, but it's just saying here there is a really big opportunity on the table for you to really make a huge breakthrough in your own personal development. It's like an evolutionary leap, a quantum evolutionary leap. That's what I feel here with these cards. There is 4, 5, 6 major arcana cards in your spread. So as I said, very significant. A lot of energy is here. I feel there's a lot of energy that's supporting you from the unseen world. So your guides are really having a big hand in this situation. And yeah, I can feel that it's uncomfortable. I can feel that it's not a pleasant situation. I feel the tension. I feel the frustration. I feel that probably this has also been going on for some time as well. I get the sense for some of you that you might be dealing with someone that you have been dealing with for a while. Someone that is not necessarily easy to deal with. They may be themselves rather petty and childish and immature and kind of, somewhat manipulative even, and playing games and kind of trying to hold the energy from you so that you don't have a lot of choice or a lot of say in the situation. That's what I feel. And this person could have also really affected your ability to trust life, to trust yourself, to trust your own intuition, to trust your ability to make decisions and live life in the way that you have felt, maybe guided to in the past. I feel like this situation specifically has maybe been making you really question your intuition and question your guidance. And what I feel to say here with that is that it's not that you were wrong. It's not that you were wrong. There's value to be gleaned here, and I think if you walk away now, you might miss out on that opportunity to really get what there is here for you to receive. And it may not necessarily be the relationship. You know what I mean? It's not about a person. It's not about a situation. It's about what it is that you can understand about yourself. It's about also understanding that there are no mistakes and there is no right and wrong. There's no, judgment has come out twice in this reading. So for some of you, while this may be about like a process of really having a kind of deep rebirth where you resolve, the judgment card is not necessarily an easy card. And you had the death card in the reading as well. For me, even death is kind of a little bit more of an easy transition than judgment. The judgment card for me is one about, a process of like a really deep schooling, like an initiation process that you go through where a lot of the times you can't really see what's going on, and it's hard to understand why you're in the situation that you're in and what did you do to get here and how can you get out of it. That kind of like almost crisis energy. And seeing it twice in your reading here makes me feel like this has been a very trialing period for you, one that's been very fraught with frustration and even, the whole spectrum of emotion. I can feel it here. But I think the point is, and again, as I said, when I'm saying like it's not about like walking away and thinking that maybe you might not ever see this person again and that's okay. I feel like it's more about understanding, again, yourself, the qualities that you are honing right now, even though you don't know it. Like you're in kind of a shrouded space, I feel like you may not be fully understanding. But what I want to give here is a little bit of hope and say like, you're still not completely at the end, and there is still a little bit of maybe the last push of a climb up to get to the peak of this mountain that you've been climbing for who knows how long. But I want to give you hope to kind of like keep pushing through and don't give up yet, because there's some really gifts. There's some gifts waiting for you nearby. It's a way of kind of hopefully providing a little bit incentive to keep going and not give up just yet, because I know it has been difficult. I know it's been fraught with a lot of frustration and challenge. And you may be really ready to have this person out of your life. And that may happen soon, but I feel like there is this energy here of like digging just a little bit deeper to find a little bit more compassion and understanding. But from a place here, it's kind of giving this slightly detached energy. Maybe that's what the Hermit is there with death as well. And you have Moon and Hangman here, both in reverse, with 6 of Crystals and 6 of Wands. The feeling is a little bit like, I'm hearing acknowledgement. So maybe this person that you've been entangled with for some time just needs a bit of acknowledgement from you and some sense of understanding of their position, even though it seems like they've probably been the person that's been causing you a lot of stress and a lot of pain and a loss of dignity and a loss of, pride or whatever it is. Like there's a lot of emotions in here that I'm feeling. And that's not to say that in acknowledging them, you kind of give them a free pass for all the bad things that they might have done. I think there's just something here about like understanding and acceptance. That's the big message for sure from the Hangman. And that's a big message that's been coming through in a lot of readings that I've been doing lately. It's like there's an energy around acceptance that's very strong at the moment, and one which is kind of enabling for that quantum leap to occur, where it is that you move from the state of energy that you're in now by accepting things as they are. Just accepting. I know I'm saying it kind of flippantly as if it's nothing, and I know acceptance is a very challenging thing to do, but it's possible. You have to just be willing to make that sacrifice in a way, I guess. That sacrifice of, or that it's like letting go of your desire for things to be anything different than they are. And in doing that, in that moment of acceptance, that's actually where change is possible. So it's kind of an ironic thing, and the energy of the Hangman can be tricky sometimes, because it's it is that feeling of like letting go of all control, or letting go of any kind of idea that you can make things be different, or even this desire to want things to be different is something that it'll be much easier for you to transition out of this difficult stage if you can give yourself a moment to even attempt to feel that energy of accepting things as they are. Just go into that space for a moment, and even if you don't feel like you can do it for a long time, but just practice it for a few seconds at a time. Embody a space of like an emotional state of energy of how you imagine it would feel if you could accept how things were, and just like tap into that frequency for a few seconds and see how that feels, and do that as often as you can for as long as you can, and that's the way that you'll be able to grow that space of like actually being able to let go and transition. So just keeping an eye on the clock there. So what else we have here? Again, we have the Two of Cups in this reading. This time it's in the upright position at the foundation. In the previous reading, it was as the crossing card. So I find that very interesting, that in the previous reading, the Two of Cups, the relationship or the dynamic was your challenge, whereas in this reading, it's what's in your unconscious mind. So it's almost like you've gone from that moment, that you've gone from that energy of frustration and strife and like a roadblock of kind of tension of energy of like things not moving, to now your consciousness is on how can I help to harmonize and resolve this union so that there is a feeling of peace. There's more water cards in this, like there's more watery energy here as well, where it feels like there is more of a focus on how to harmonize the emotional states and come into a more calm and serene space of existing, where you kind of can come outside of the constructs of the mind and get a little bit of space from needing to kind of solve the problem by mentally kind of understanding it. There's a bit of energy here around just like focusing on a state of well-being regardless of what the scenario is. Just like find a balance, find harmony, find peace within, and from there, maybe the solutions can arise. Now, what else we have here? There was I saw the Ace of Wands here at the bottom of the deck in the previous reading after I pulled these extended cards. And here it is showing up at the crowning card position of this reading. Very interesting. I feel that there is something here in this spread where I get the feeling that you actually really do want this fresh start, like you do kind of want a makeover, or you do want to come, at least, maybe as I say, just maybe not be about a makeover with a person. This is just about your own energy and your ability to have a kind of reset moment, a fresh start that's free of a lot of the entanglements and drama of a previous situation that's been maybe playing out for more than you've been comfortable with. And then here you have, as I said again, you have the Hermit in reverse in this reading, the hopes and fears. Here it was in the previous reading in the extended cards. And it's with the Two of Crystals, which was also in the previous reading here, in the outcome position. So, I always find it so fascinating when there's all these repeating cards. So what do I feel about these energies here? I get the sense that, like, again, I think I said in the previous reading, there was something there about selfishness, and again, it could be both sides of the fence. But this Two of Swords is talking about, to me, it's about a clarity of mind. In this deck, it's called equanimity. And it's in the upright position here in the spread. And in the previous reading, it was in reverse. So I felt like there was a little bit of, also there's like a kind of need to like really step outside of any kind of denial or any kind of untruth about the actual situation that you're in, and stop maybe preventing yourself from really seeing the truth of a situation, because that may also be why you've been kind of, this situation has been perpetuated, is that you haven't been able to really truly see for what it is, what actually is going on. You may not have been able to acknowledge or accept or even identify certain qualities about the person, about yourself, and about the combined energy of the dynamic of this situation that may give you some clues as to why it is that you're there, if that makes sense. I think there's some need to really like look much deeper and look beyond like what's there. That's why that's like this Priestess and Empress pairing in the previous reading is so strong and so important. It's like, and here in this reading in the same position, you have the Moon in reverse and the Six of Crystals. What it's saying to me is that there really is a need for like, not just raw honesty, but a kind of mystical, what's the word? Like asking the right questions. Like inquiring and pursuing a kind of understanding that is beyond just what's really evident in the kind of 3D world, but actually taking it much further and striving to understand from a more sublime energetic space of like, what have I created here and why, in order to understand your responsibilities and how you can then move forward from here with greater understanding, greater clarity, and just a greater capacity, like a broadening your bandwidth to be able to just deal with energies in a broader sense, in a way that is not so decapacitating. Is that the word? Decapacitating? Incapacitating. Okay? And then finally here in the outcome positions you have delusion, which is Ten of Crystals in reverse, with strength. What I feel this is speaking to is boundaries. And some of what you may have been dealing with throughout a lot of this situation or this scenario is perhaps a lack of clear boundaries, or in some situations, too severe boundaries, which may have been causing a lack of ability to understand and communicate and cooperate in a situation. Especially I feel like if there's children involved, there may be situations where some of you may have had too severe boundaries and a lack of ability to share and be a little bit more flexible in some ways. But also what I'm getting here from these two cards, the Ten of Crystals reverse and the Strength card, is that there is also, here there is some messages around self-love and compassion and understanding about, I mean, it's very general, just life stuff, you know, understanding that people have their shit, you know, we all have our shit. And everyone's at a different point on their own personal trajectory of what they're able to see and understand for their own life, for their own growth. So being able to embody again that compassion and that wisdom of the High Priestess and the Empress, and bring that into a space where you can see where another person is and you can see where you are, and you can have boundaries that are healthy for everyone involved. Like, there's a kind of wrathful compassion with the Strength card too, you know, coming with an influence. I feel, I mean, for me the Strength card is very strong connection to Durga from the Hindu pantheon. She's often depicted riding either a lion or a tiger. So for me, the Strength card kind of describes that particular kind of compassionate energy that can be wrathful. It's where you say no to someone when they're trying to be abusive or take advantage in some way. But it's also there, like some I'm hearing resistance. But you know, like for your own self too, that kind of compassion that you can bring to your own situation, and just self-love in general. I'm feeling a lot of self-love energy or message from these two final cards here. I think that's it for this part of the reading. Let me just check over. There is also an energy here of regeneration and washing and purification. So I feel like even if, as I felt from the first spread, that maybe this situation has been going on for a time that may have been beyond what felt like reasonable or comfortable, I do feel like there is some kind of transition happening now where there is like a kind of level up, like there's a quantum leap happening in your own personal evolution, and of course that will affect everybody around you too. Maybe your own personal awakening that is happening now can also have a positive influence on people around you that may be influencing your life in a way you can kind of rub off on them in a beneficial way to help them kind of like also shift out of some stagnancy or some resistance that they may have been experiencing for a long time that's been affecting you too. So let's see what's at the bottom of the deck. The Five of Cups reversed. That was in the previous reading as well here. Two of Worlds, so another two. I don't think we had the Two of Pentacles. No, we had the Two of Cups. And then Three of Cups upright and the Magician reversed. And there's also the Fool. I'm going to take that. It's also in reverse. So I feel that again, there is this like just a very small remnant here of a sensation that there is some sadness over a loss or a disappointment. Maybe that this, I mean, if we're talking about a relationship here that's not, maybe been like a long time breaking up or like dissolving in some way, or that there's been a shift in the dynamic or in the status, whether or not there's children involved here, I feel like there is some like grieving and sadness that is still being finalized or processed in a way that is maybe kind of perpetuating an extended period of this resolving taking time. And again, with the Magician and the Fool cards both here, like this, there's that beginning energy that wants to be expressed. But being that these are both in reverse, I do feel that there is still a minor kind of shift of energy that still needs to happen in order for that new beginning to really pierce through. And the key element in that is love. The Three of Cups here is called love. Again, I spoke about it at length in the first reading, that energy of compassion, of love, of wisdom, of higher understanding of a situation. And that really is the energy that needs to be brought in. Understanding and acceptance are key parts of this reading that will really help you to transition into this new beginning that you really are so ready for, that you really want. It's about acceptance and letting go, understanding and just gracefulness. Bringing that higher mind to the situation to be able to really see things for what they are and understand. Just be understanding of where people are in their own personal journey. And potentially, if this is again about boundaries or moving on, it's again, there needs to be a kind of clarity within you about, you can still interact with a person, but if you have attachments, I think that's what the Ten of Crystals is saying here with the Strength in the final cards of the reading here. It's like, if you still have attachments, that's what you need to address. And that's where you need to draw new boundaries for your own self, is to kind of clarify like where you are. Clarify where you are exactly. And acknowledge if you've been perpetuating a situation dragging out because you haven't resolved your emotions. Okay? So there's a lot here for you, Leo. I would recommend you watch this reading again, because there was a lot of information there, and you might find it helpful to have a review now. And also later on in the month, come back to this reading and check it again. You might find that as events unfold, more parts of the reading will stand out to you than they have just right now. So thank you so much for being with me during this time. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. I hope you found some things in there that you can work with. Thank you for your subscription. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. There's a playlist on the screen now for previous Leo readings from months gone by. You might want to also see the playlist from May for this month as well, and watch some of the other signs if you're cross-watching. Also check your sun, moon and ascendant signs for a more thorough read for your monthly energies that are at play for you. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in next month's readings.